Good evening, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV and another live stream. Another rebellion and uprising, this time in Brazil. Yes, the supporters of Bolsonaro and of course everybody else who have been against Lula and his lunatic minions destroying the country in Brazil have come out today. A massive rally still ongoing, and of course the authorities and the police are freaking out. They've been trying their best to stop this protest. And of course, it's not happening. All the allegations coming out saying this is a coup. They are coming for Lula. Poor Lula. An actual criminal, by the way. But in this video, we're going to give you all the updates, all the videos we're receiving live as we speak from Brazil. Let's get on with the show. All right, so over the last few days, we've actually been criticizing Brazil as a government because, of course, they are getting worse and worse. For a long time, they've been in the pockets of the Iranian regime, just like South Africa and China, of course. But considering Argentinians have decided to actually take a risk and go for Javier Milei and say goodbye to socialism, at least for now, it's time for Brazilians to also rise up, and they are doing it. Of course, this rally supporters of Bolsonaro, and of course, again, this is about everything else been going on, not just socialism in Brazil, but of course, globalism and Islamism, because you can see in this photo the flags, the Israeli flags flying around during the march, during this rally. And it's interesting. I've also got a couple of videos actually from the police trying their best to stop the coaches and buses from getting to the rally point. Let's go to the first video. Then we're going to get your reaction live on the live chat. First video. This is what I call a protest. This is what I call a turnout, and it's giving me the same vibes that we've been receiving, getting from Spain, when the Spanish government decided to go socialist. Actually, this has been going on for about 10-15 years now. In Spain, we've had so many issues where young people protesting in Spain, unlike the rest of the Western world. Usually, the young people are just the leftists, right? In Spain, for example, and now we're seeing it now in Brazil and Argentina, they are the capitalists. They are the ones protesting in favor of democracy and free market economy. It's absolutely fascinating. In countries that you already have free market, well, to an extent, free market capitalism, of course, it's not really anymore because it's mixed economy. You get the young people who are becoming just privileged and spoiled. They go to Starbucks, buy their coffees, and they go and use their iPhones to film their revolutionary protests. And like, well, you're literally living as a capitalist, and you're complaining about it. When you have it too good, you don't really appreciate it. This happened, obviously, before the protest even started, because they knew that a lot of people are going to bring the Israeli flags, and they're going to criticize Lula's idiotic approach and rhetoric against the Jewish people and the Jewish nation. The president of Brazil allegedly ordered the police to stop buses with protesters heading to Sao Paulo for today's rally, demanding his impeachment. This mostly started because of Lula's continued declaration that Israel is a nationalist, a socialist state, in his opinion. Pot kettle, Lula, pot kettle. Let's go to the video of the police allegedly stopping the buses and checking the coaches.
Estão cozinhando a gente aqui para poder não dar tempo de chegar, né? Provavelmente. Isso aí a gente sabe quem tá hoje está mandando na PRF. Infelizmente já se instalou uma ditadura já no nosso país já há muito tempo. Aí não fala nada. Aí fica aí, os patriotas querendo atender o chamado do nosso presidente. Somos impedidos.
So despite the best efforts from the authorities and the police and Lula's minions, they couldn't stop the protesters from reaching Sao Paulo. And of course, we've seen the scenes and the videos coming out, and we have some more footage for you guys as well. They managed to get there, and of course, all the supporters of Bolsonaro have also joined. This is actually an interesting video. Of course, the rally turned into a pro-Israeli protest as well. One of the main problems is obviously they're demanding Lula's impeachment and resignation, mostly because of the allegations coming from Lula and establishment saying anybody protesting against Lula, they're basically doing coup d'etat, and and Bolsonaro is the leader as a right-winger, and we need to stop him. So basically, they've already condemned this whole rally. So the more they do this, the more they feel the tensions. So people in Brazil and Sao Paulo are saying, we're going to come out and protest more. And over the last few days, the rhetoric coming from the government in Brazil against Israel didn't really help the situation. That's why in this video we have Bolsonaro also coming out flying not just the Brazilian flag, he's actually wearing a Brazilian football shirt, but also flying the Israeli flag, which is going to be angering everybody in the establishment.
Vamos ver. Que bonita imagem.
Anything to troll the globalists is absolutely welcoming. And of course, the socialists in power don't really know exactly what else to do. They're using the media to obviously spread propaganda, saying all these people, they're going against democracy. Literally, the narrative coming from the rally today has been to promote the rule of law in Brazil, which Lula, as a criminal, doesn't really understand, and democracy and free market capitalism and friendship with the Jews and Christians across the world. And apparently that's bad. Apparently these people are like, Guy Fawkes, for example. They want to bring down the establishment with fire. I mean, if you continue to go against the will of the people in Brazil, just like many other places, don't be surprised if tensions escalate so much that people start rioting. Same problems we had again in Spain when you had the young people that I mentioned, young people in Spain protesting in favor of free market capitalism and democracy against the socialist government. The more they did this, and especially when it came to the tensions with the Catalans, then you started seeing riots happening in Spain, and the police went even crazier. So you haven't even seen anything from Brazil yet. It could just get worse. And I know that they are freaking out. I know that they're trying their best to get rid of Bolsonaro. And again, his supporters are going to continue to increase. His support in general across the country. Now, they are looking next door. They can see what's going on in Argentina. They can see Javier Milei and his success already. It took him 25 minutes to balance the books, the budget in Argentina. Argentina was so out of control, the government budget and the economic policies. It was going bankrupt. He managed to sort it out by cutting all the waste and shutting down all these government agencies and bureaucracies that completely been wasting the taxpayers' money. And of course, corruption has been going up. Same problem is now happening in Brazil, and people are absolutely fed up. This is how the surroundings, of course, in Sao Paulo, in the Paulista Avenue, are, where thousands of followers of the former president, Bolsonaro, gathered today, Sunday, to defend the democratic rule of law and support the former president in the face of the judicial persecution that has been unleashed against him. This is an actual witch hunt. It's the same treatment that Donald Trump has been getting in the United States. Same thing is now happening to Bolsonaro. It's not really a surprise. This is the tactics of the liberal globalist elite at this point. Let's go to this next video. The bravery of the political right in Brazil must be appreciated, because for years and years, the establishment in Brazil created this narrative that we have no choice but being an ally to the Iranian regime, and of course then China and everybody else. That's why the Brazilians, just like the CCP, just like the Iranians and all the other Eastern globalists, decided to go full on with the plans to accelerate digital currencies, central bank digital currencies. Of course, the Western globalists are also doing it. They're slightly behind, but the Eastern side, we already have the pilots launched in terms of the actual digital currencies in China, in Russia, in Iran. Brazil is also obsessed with it. They have been telling people in Brazil, you have no choice. We have to be essentially dependent on the Eastern globalists, the likes of the Iranian regime, and said if you break that relationship, then we won't have any money, we won't have any relationship with anybody else. You can do free trade with other countries, you're absolute idiots. This is why people are no longer believing anything coming out of the establishment in Brazil. This is another video from 12:20 p.m. Local time in Sao Paulo. Let's go. It's insane, and it's also great, obviously, just to anger the globalists to continue to see the Israeli flags flying around at the same time, sending a very strong message to the nutters in Tehran, capital of Iran. And obviously, no, this is going to be broadcast by the media in Iran or in China. And of course, the Brazilians can't really control the situation because the social media platforms and new media platforms in Brazil are completely doing live streams from these rallies. So people in Brazil know exactly what's going on. At the same time, the Iranians and their relationship and the Chinese with Brazil, it's not going to end well because they would easily betray them. They've done the same thing. When the CCP went to Central Africa and all those regions and said, we're going to come and help you. We're going to fight alongside you against the evil Anglo-American empire, right? And there's Central Africans said, okay. And then people in Central Africa and all these areas, by the way, many countries there, decided to hit back at the CCP. It was fascinating. The Chinese had to basically leave those areas over the last few years. They had to change their strategy. They took whatever they could, by the way. All the natural resources from Africa. They took it. Lovely. Absolutely done. Same thing they're doing in Iran. They've signed massive contracts when it comes to gas, when it comes to the infrastructure. Basically, China is buying out countries, and they bought out Iran. They're buying out Brazil. They act like the mafia. They no longer conquer countries like taking the tanks to cross borders anymore. They just come and buy you out and then blackmail you and basically do extortion. This is what's been going on in many countries that's been linked to the Eastern globalists. And of course, it's not really in defense of the Western globalists because they're also as bad as each other. But the solution to the Western globalist system is not really the Eastern globalists. That's also stupid. They're all nutters. They're all complete corrupt idiots who don't really care about freedom, about the rule of law, about democracy, and especially about sovereignty of these nations. They promised the world BRICS. You've heard of BRICS. They said BRICS is simply just a club for like-minded nations to come and trade with each other. Like they said the same thing about the European Union's common market, right, at the time. They said, yeah, we're just here to make sure that we are not under the rule of the dollar, the US dollar. And I was like, okay, good, fair enough. Yeah, don't allow the American globalists telling you what to do. Then they turned BRICS into, again, the early days of the European Union. It turned into a political group. Now it's turning into, they're creating their own currency union. And they're now talking about their own army, BRICS army. And of course, the digital currencies, centralized digital currencies. So you've been opposing globalism coming from the Americans, rightly so. And your solution is to do another globalism from your own side, instead of actually defending and supporting sovereignty of all your countries. Why are you surprised when you get people in Brazil coming out on the streets and saying, we kind of want Bolsonaro back? They're sick and tired now. It's the same problem again. The witch hunt against Bolsonaro is the same thing that we're seeing against Donald Trump. This is why we are seeing this. By the way, Paul, as an area, obviously it's kind of close to the central part of Sao Paulo is usually quiet anyway during the weekends, especially Sundays. They get very Jesus-y in Sao Paulo. That's probably why they allowed it to happen there. Even though, as I said, I'm going to show you again that video, the police trying their best to stop the buses and coaches from reaching Sao Paulo from outside. But they still basically had no choice because these protesters didn't want to do disruption. The whole point was to have this rally on Sunday, which would be a quiet day, so that they could actually gather together in a safe manner. Because again, they also want to stay safe. They don't trust the police at this point, with under the rule of Lula. Lula, the crazy, insane criminal. This is what's happening. And of course, I'm trying to see, actually, let's just do another test. Some of the live streams we do, as we talk about the topic, what we do, we go on the homepage of BBC News. I'm doing it right now if you can do it at the same time. Let's see how long we have to dig into or scroll down to see the update from Brazil. Nope, nothing from Brazil, nothing from Brazil. Let's see, all top 10 stories. Nope, nothing from Brazil. There's no reports about Brazil and there's protests. Nope, let's go. Of course, we're going to have to go to the world section and click on Latin America. Then, of course, we're going to see it, right? First story is Mexico, about the front runner, the election. Then El Salvador. Then we got something about Dani Alves, the footballer. Then we have Honduras, some story about that. Another Mexico story. Nothing about the protest in Brazil on BBC News. Absolutely nothing. I thought at least I'll find something. Let's go to Sky News. Sky News, homepage. Anything about Brazil? Come on. I believe in you, Sky. Nope, nothing. Sky News, also absolutely pointless. Let's go to the world section, the world tab. Come on, I believe in you. The first story is the protest in Tel Aviv. Surprise, surprise. Something about Ukraine, Trump. Some people died in France. Ukraine, Navalny and his dead body. Nothing is being reported by the main media outlets in Britain about what's actually going on right now in Brazil. This is why I do what I do on 2CTV. Because you guys are watching this from across the world. Actually, I can see in the live chat some people are watching from Brazil. How sad is it that people from Brazil have to watch this channel to find out what's going on in Brazil? But of course, people in Britain wouldn't know exactly what's going on if they just watch TV or listen to radio. This is why we have to do this. Let's go to you guys. Verena says, it's obvious that our governments don't want to upset the Arab League. Well, we all know the truth. Yes, this is why, again, when you see Bolsonaro, I'm going to show you the clip again. Actually, while we speak, I can put it up again. When you see him flying the Israeli flag, let's put it here. There we go. You see that? He's doing it on purpose. He's trolling the establishment in Brazil and, of course, the rest of the world. Because all of them, Brazil being in the pocket of the Iranian regime in China, and, of course, the rest of them being absolutely terrified of the Arab League, and not the good nations of the Arab League, by the way, not the friendly ones, not UAE. We're talking about Qatar. We're talking about all the other crazies. So that comment is absolutely spot on. Hunter says, I love Milei. Absolutely love him as well. He's hilarious. The video that came out of him meeting Trump yesterday today at CPAC was brilliant. Although Arch says, hands off the Falklands. There's still this mainstream media narrative, propaganda going around, scaring the public about Milei, saying, oh, he's getting ready to invade the Falklands. The guy's a libertarian. He's come out to clarify so many times. He doesn't want to invade the Falklands. He's literally said, I'm an Argentinian. I believe it's the Malvinas. Fine, you believe in that. But he's very robust in terms of negotiating with the British government and David Cameron to do something about it. And it's the job of the British government to say, go away. You can criticize, you can disagree with Milei when it comes to foreign policy in the Falklands, but you can still support him when it comes to everything else he's doing. He's completely trolling the globalist elite, and that's absolutely brilliant. I don't blame him from the perspective of the Argentinian nationalists. I don't blame him. Calm down, William. I don't blame him. I don't agree with him. It's the Falklands. Get used to it. But you don't have to agree with every single policy that political leaders are proposing. Boy says, deport Maya. Oh, that's nice and lovely. We got the left-wing trolls already. You're warming up in the live chat. Nice. Feel free. You can try to deport me. The problem is I'm banned. I'm cancelled by Iran. I'm banned. Where are you going to send me? Rwanda? It's nice weather there. I don't mind. AFC Man UK says they're bloody amazing, isn't it? In almost every other country, the people will stand up, protest and fight against the globalists and Islamists. In Britain, not so much. We've been too soft for too long. This is what's been the strength of the British culture until now, which has been the fact that we don't do revolutions. We find different ways to put pressure on politicians. And we've been tolerant, and I really hate that word, but we have been tolerant, is actually now coming back and biting us in the ass. Because we now have invited people, well, when I say we, some people in the comment section always get sensitive about words. When I say we imported all these third world Islamists and all that, they say, no, we didn't do it, our politicians did it. I think everybody with some common sense know when we say we, I don't mean me from my living room. We're talking about our governments. But we as a country and government did it. And this is where we ended up now. Because the actual British people and the English identity, Welsh identity, Scottish, and of course people in Northern Ireland, it wasn't in their blood to do revolutionary movements. We show anger. We show how demanding we are from our establishment if we need something. But we never had to. There was one revolution, essentially, and it's not really a revolution, it was essentially a coup with Oliver Cromwell and Charles I, because Charles I was going a little bit crazy. And that was even a mistake, because 10 minutes later, the country said, can we go and reverse that? Because Oliver Cromwell was supposed to be a freedom fighter and has become a dictator. We don't do revolutions. Let's go back to constitutional monarchy. Whereas the other countries, the other cultures, it's in their blood, some places, to fight. The French, next door, as I always joke, they're always ready to burn cars on Tuesdays for no reason. you increase taxes by 0.1%. The French go out there and do revolution every Tuesday. But we don't do that. But now, that's been the strength until now. This is actually becoming a weakness now. When the time comes, and darkness actually gets here properly, and we're going to get the Islamic parties being set up. We're going to get the Islamists actually trying to change the education system, the curriculum in schools. And they're already trying their best to do that. The intimidation tactics and taking over local councils and everything else and try to bring Sharia. That's when you need people to rise up. And the way it's going, the way it currently is, I just can't see the British people from rising up. But do not underestimate the people of these islands, because we know that if it's needed, something will get done. Very patient, very tolerant until the last minute. The British have never been actually conquered in that sense, at least since William the Bastard. Things obviously have not been easy for the enemies to try to influence the culture and change the culture, take over the country, change the system. Hasn't happened, unlike many other countries. But that cannot become our complacency. That's the issue. Super chat time. Holotap. Thank you so much. Saying, love it. The Brazilians are really stepping up. And good, because I was actually criticizing them a few days ago on this channel. And we had a couple of good Brazilians watching, obviously, as usual. And I did say, I'm not criticizing every Brazilian. I'm criticizing the government and Lula the lunatic. And I was waiting to see how long it will take for people in Brazil to actually come back and support freedom and conservative values. And now it's happening. Another super chat. Here are your shekels from the Elders of Zion. Yes. All the allegations that 2CTV is funded by Mossad is getting true. The first 2 super chats are from Israel. You're not helping. Other Go Joe, thank you so much, from the United States of America. Saying, am I wrong if I call it a virus at this point? Well, Islamism is basically a virus. Of course it is. And socialism. And also basically at this point a mental illness. Because the self-guilt and self-hatred that people in the West, the spoiled privileged idiots, have to promote Marxism and all these ideas and anti-freedom ideas, it's because they have their own issues in their own lives. If you are already living in a safe, prosperous, privileged place, compared to people in other continents and other countries, what are you complaining about? Things aren't perfect. Things could always get better. But you thinking that your problems are because of other people, well, that's on you. So it becomes a psychological problem. Ian says, what is it, an insurrection? Well, that's literally what the media of Brazil, that's how they're describing what's been going on today. This is literally the whole problem. They are saying this is a coup. They are describing these pictures as a coup, saying, now this is it. The far right, the far right are coming out with the flags of Israel, apparently, according to the media in Brazil. What? Israel, far right. And of course, Bolsonaro, oh yeah, of course, he's far right. Any sort of conservative populist leader, according to the liberal establishment, is far right. They still don't understand the definition of far right. I mean, how hard is it? It's ultra-authoritarian nationalism. That's far right. Anybody promoting actual democracy, free market economy, free speech, it's the exact opposite of far right. Ah, idiots. This is again the video of the moment the police were trying their best to stop the coaches from reaching Sao Paulo. It's hilarious.
Estão cozinhando a gente aqui para poder não dar tempo de chegar, né? Provavelmente. Isso aí a gente sabe quem tá hoje tá mandando na PRF. Infelizmente, já se instalou uma ditadura já no nosso país já.
How paranoid can you be as a state to do something like this? They are putting Justin Trudeau to shame of what he did with the truckers. Justin Trudeau's government compared to these guys are soft, what they were doing and freezing people's bank accounts. This is embarrassing. Anyway, we have another comment. The OK Kitty Farm, love that. This was a long game. It's been slowly implemented over decades and through tolerance. Each little step was accepted as let them be. Yeah, we did let them be, yeah. And look how far they've made it through. Tiny little baby steps. Absolutely spot on. I cannot disagree with this comment. Evening Star, thank you for your super chat. Saying thank you for your hard work in keeping us informed, Maya. Thank you very much. I love the thumbs up emojis. They're very inclusive. You got all the skin colors. Every single skin color. Brilliant. And we have a Canadian freedom fighter, Georgia. Thank you very much for your super chat. Perfect time. I was just talking about Justin Trudeau. MT channel. Is that me? MT channel. That sounds like my channel. From Canada, again, saying good news. Finally, people are waking up. Down with socialism and communism. Go, go, go. Democracy. Yeah, it's also your turn now to do the same in Canada. Of course, the Canadian Conservatives are rising up, but it's not really the same as what's going on in, for example, Argentina. There's still hope when it comes to Canada. I'm hopeful. I'm absolutely optimistic. I believe in the Canadian nature, as in the human nature in Canada, not the actual nature. There's a lot of snow up there. Let's see what else. We have someone from the Netherlands. We in Holland have some socialist programs. Yeah, true. Well, social democracy. Nuance is the key. Some of it actually keeps drug addicts and bums off payment. This is the whole point. The golden days, and even right now you could say to an extent, the Nordic countries. Look at Norway, look at Denmark, for example. They were accused of being socialists. They were never socialists. They always had a market economy. But they believe, then again, they came up with this stupid phrase, social democracy. It's so stupid. Because social democracy is basically socialism through the back door. Actual social democrats, then they're not. They don't believe in free market. But as a concept, for the sake of the argument, let's say Norway, Denmark, these places have always been free market-based economies, but social democracy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a safety net, with having a bit of taxation. Again, let's not go crazy like Sweden. That's too far. But nothing wrong with having good public services, at the same time allowing businesses to operate. Small businesses, medium-sized businesses. It got to a point where the Nordic and Scandinavian culture in general got to a point where they didn't even need to create, even years ago, mandatory minimum wage mandated by the state. Because most of the trade unions, even at the time, were not political in countries like Denmark or Norway, even Sweden to an extent. They just had good relationships. They negotiated with the employers and the actual industry leaders, and they created their own, essentially, minimum wage per sector. And that was the best way. The government does less intervention in those places that governments do here in Britain or in the United States or in other countries, Germany or France. So we could learn a lot from the Nordic countries instead of calling them socialists. You know, they could bring down some of the income tax rates because it's a little bit crazy there. But we don't have to go full on socialist. That's the point. Gabby Bot, thank you very much for your super chat. Speaking of the Nordics, people are coming up in the live chat. I can see. I've woken up their Scandinavians. Super chatting in Brazil is founded on Judeo-Christian values. Spot on. And the notion that the mainstream media try to portray that Brazil does not support Israel is ludicrous. Yes, why is everybody surprised that Brazil and the good people in Brazil are supporting Israel? Or even Javier Milei in Argentina? Where do you think their roots are when it comes to their values and religion? Oh, did it come from mostly, say Spain and Portugal that were invaded by Muhammad and his people, and then they were liberated by Christians? I wonder why they don't like Islamism. Maybe because they saw what happened in Spain. Maybe they can see what happened to Morocco, even now. Well, Morocco is trying to come back, but... Another super chat from Peter Green. Freedom is embedded in the British psyche. Yep. It will out when it comes to the crunch. I'm a believer, as Peter Green said. It's just that I can't see it now, as things stand now. But as I explained, there's a thing about people in especially England. But of course, let's not forget about the fiery people in Scotland and Wales as well. And of course, let's not forget about our good neighbours in Northern Ireland. Actually, well, they are fierier than everybody else in Belfast. Sometimes for the bad reasons. But I believe in this kingdom, if the time comes, they will have to rise up, or I'm going to get very angry. Paul Claude, love that your name, by the way. Super chat say, I said hi to you at today's rally as you were struggling with your backpack. Your hair looks even more majestic in person. Thank you. It's never good when someone says in central London a brown guy is struggling with a backpack. Yeah, somebody call the police. Yeah, it was difficult. I was trying to multitask. I had everything on me, and with the camera and the microphone and chaos. But it was a good rally. If you haven't seen the video, we did a live stream obviously earlier at the Jewish pro-Israeli rally in London. It was great. It was a good vibe. We had the Union flags, we had the Israeli flags, we had the Iranian flags, obviously, as usual. We had the UAE flags. But the sad reality was that if this side of the aisle wants to do a protest in London, they had to do it in a closed space, in a little park thing with fences around it and police protecting every corner because they have to be careful about their own safety. Whereas when the other side, when the far left or basically the Islamic groups try to do protests, they take over the streets, they block the roads, they do projector thing on the Elizabeth Tower, on the House of Parliament, they do whatever they want. And if you criticize that, the police will take you away. But when the Christians and Jews want to do something, well, the best way to do it if you just do it on a Sunday afternoon when nobody's out, just go in that little park, little corner, closed, we'll put the police around you, essentially kettle you in. In a very nice way, and you can just do whatever you want quietly and just go home. This is not democracy, this is not fairness, this is not actual equality when it comes to the rule of law. There are different treatments to different people in this country. You can't really have different tiers of policing. It's going to backfire. It's already backfiring anyway. Speaking of backfiring, I'm absolutely shattered. I'm gonna take a break. Of course, if you joined us late, feel free to scroll back to the beginning of the live stream and check out all the videos coming out from Brazil. Long live Brazil and their freedom fighters, of course, in South America in general. Learn from Javier Milei. We should do the same thing. You've been watching 2C TV. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.